Welcome back, Mando.
Ho! Greetings, Bucketheads. Mavar Tagar. Welcome to our 339th Carefully Crafting Kallus episode of Mandovision. I am your host, Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad you're here. Make sure you reach out to us on those socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter /X and Instagram. You can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com, and be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Bucketheads, as you can tell, my voice is not typically where I like it to be. Spent the evening out last night at a show and did a little hooting and hollering, as they might say. So, I hope you can bear with me. I hope it's at least decent enough that we can do this episode of the podcast. There is a little bit of Star Wars news out there in the world. Jon Favreau has been doing some interviews here and there, and he's talked a little bit about The Mandalorian and Grogu, and basically sort of just confirmed that this movie is all about firmly establishing Din Djarin as the good guy. And, you know, that's sort of been the progression of the character for quite some time now, but it sounds like this movie will firmly entrench him in the hero mold, if you will. And, I think we all saw this coming. We all could anticipate this move. But it is interesting to look back on where the show first started. And, that really, in my opinion, very legendary first season of the show, where it was, with very big space western vibes. And, Din was a man of mystery and all these little things like that. So, this was always the trajectory for the character. But it seems much more so the case now that, he's a good guy. This is all from an interview that Jon Favreau did in Empire magazine. So if you want to go read the full thing, get all those direct quotes. It is, just little tidbits here and there, because the movie is getting closer and closer to coming out. And I would imagine that there'll be a new trailer at some point soon. It's coming out in May. I don't know, maybe Christmas time would be a good point to drop that new Mandalorian and Grogu trailer on us. That first trailer was okay, It was more of like it almost felt like more of an announcement trailer. Like, hey, there's a Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out, and here are various random snippets of things that happen in said movie. But we have really no idea what the plot of this film is. I mean, we can finally make a guess, but it would be nice to kind of get a little bit more of an idea of what Din and Grogu will be up to in this flick. The Empire article also confirms that Sigourney Weaver is a character named Colonel Ward. How about that, Colonel Ward? It's a name, not the most Star Warsy name I've ever heard out there, but hey, maybe we'll make up for it if we find out her first name in the fic. All right. So that being said, I feel like it's time that we talk about the latest episode of our Star Wars Rebels rewatch, and let's lay those particulars for the episode out right now before we dive into it. All right, you guys ready for this one? Star Wars Rebels, Season 3, Episode 17, Through Imperial Eyes. Original air date was February 25th, 2017. Our plot for this episode: the Rebels attempt to save a Rebel spy, fearing that their identity will be unveiled by the Empire. And also, I mean, there's a lot more to the plot than that, but let's just stick there, right? This episode is directed by Sal Ruiz, written by Nicole Dubik and Henry Gilroy. Our primary cast for this week's episode. You know them, you love them. Taylor Gray is Ezra Bridger. Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus. Dave Filoni's Chopper. D. Bradley Baker is Admiral Constantine /Rex. David Oyelowo is Agent Kallus. Stephen Stanton is AP5. Tom Kane is Colonel Yularen. Liam O'Brien is Lieutenant List. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is Governor Price. Lars Mikkelsen is, of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn. And you got David Accord in there as doing a lot of the Stormtrooper stuff. This episode has got some neat stuff in it. We've seen. I don't know. We've seen Thrawn's Star Destroyer before. We've seen the Chimera before, but I think it looks like more impressive in this one. I'm not gonna lie. I just think it does. And I think you can more clearly begin to see the outlines of the Chimera on the bottom of said Star Destroyer. Again, even though we've seen it before, I just think it's a little bit more prominent now, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm sort of imagining that. And you can also see a little bit of the Stormtroopers sort of altering their uniforms a little bit to reflect their sort of loyalty to Thrawn. Interesting stuff in the episode. This episode's got a lot of espionage-y kind of things going on. It's got a little bit of a spycraft element to it. Not quite a cat and mouse game necessarily, but a lot of the hallmarks of a good spy movie, right? Kind of boiled down into like a 22-minute episode of Star Wars. So fun stuff in this. As we said, Yularen's in it. He's the head of the ISB. So of course it's time for some espionage and Imperial intelligence, counterintelligence, all those things happening in play in this episode. So let's go ahead and get on the other side of the bump and talk about the episode proper. You know what that means. It's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This episode opens up in a very interesting fashion. We are seeing everything through Kallus's perspective, right? We wake up, his eyes are opening. We see the room coming into focus. We see that he's in his Spartan quarters on one of the Imperial light cruisers, and we hear alarms blaring, and we think the ship's under attack, and we're going into a situation. Kallus opens his door. These stormtroopers are running past and saying, get to battle stations, red alert, all these things. And Kallus goes back into his room, runs some water, and we look into the mirror, and that's when we reveal that we're seeing everything through Kallus's point of view. After that, though, we shift into a normal Star Wars focus as everything kind of plays out. There was some talk online that at one point Dave Filoni tried to figure out how to do this entire show via Kallus's perspective, but it ended up being such a challenge because of all the things they were trying to do in the episode that they opted to not do that. So I guess they settled for doing it in the opening of the episode, just to kind of give us that perspective of Kallus's. And from there, we get into a Star Wars adventure, right? We go to the bridge. Lieutenant List is there, and he's ordered everyone to red alert to stop this ship from escaping from Lothal, right? And they capture the ship. They disable the ship. They tow it in via tractor beam. And what we see is dressed, judging by his garb, a bounty hunter of some sort, not necessarily a rebel spy that List believes it to be. But it is, in fact, once the helmet is removed, we reveal it is Ezra Bridger. And Kallus is not pleased, to say the least. They take him to the brig, and Kallus kind of tears into him for like, what are you doing? You're going to blow this whole thing. Why are you even here? What's happening right now? We're all going to get executed. It's a really great vocal performance by David Oyelowo as he changes his pitch and just his tone that he takes with Ezra. Very different from Kallus as we sort of have known him over the years. And that's when Ezra tells Kallus that they believe he might be compromised. That the last Fulcrum transmission was intercepted by the Imperials, and that they know he is out there, and they are doing what they can to capture Fulcrum, right? Like the Empire's looking for a rebel spy. So their plan, Ezra and Kanan and Rex, is to extract Fulcrum from the situation, to extract Kallus from the Empire, right? Before he can be captured and potentially reveal anything that he may or may not know about the rebel cells. This all changes very, very quickly because arriving on the scene is Grand Admiral Thrawn with a fleet of Star Destroyers of his own back to Lothal, and he has Admiral Yularen with him. Now, Thrawn is very wise to the fact that there is a rebel spy amongst his people, and this basically they launch a mission to sort of ferret out who the spy is. Yularen's there to conduct interviews with high-ranking Imperials. Someone close to Thrawn must be feeding them information, hence why the rebels have been so successful as of late. And Thrawn admits that he's also on the verge of finding their base. We know it's to be Adelon, but Thrawn has narrowed it down. He lists the methods by which he's done so. We get to see his office chambers a little bit more clearly now. Still has that piece of wall from Sabine Wren, has Hera's Kalikori toy. We see on the back mural, we see Yalsamari, right? A nod to the Heir to the Empire books that are no longer canon, but from which Thrawn sprang forth from the mind of Timothy Zahn. So a lot of neat little Easter eggs in there. Someone online said you can see the Holy Grail from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in there, and I went back and I wasn't quite sure if that was it or not, but maybe it is. And regardless, neat little Easter eggs, always fun little Easter eggs in these sort of like reliquaries that a lot of Star Wars characters seem to keep around them. Just like Luthen in Andor. Lots of fun little Easter eggy things. So why not? Yeah, maybe I'll watch it again after this and see if it jumps out a little bit more clearly. Maybe you can find it on your watch of this episode as well. So one of the neat things in this episode that I really liked was we actually get to see the Imperials using their rank cylinders, right? Like we've seen these cylinders worn by Imperials since the very first Star Wars movie, but I can't think of very many times that we've gotten to see them put to use. And we see that with Thrawn, as he wants Lieutenant List and Agent Kallus to use theirs to verify who they are and to gain entry to see Thrawn. And those become a big piece of the plot in this episode, as let's just say it. Let's just get it out there, right? Kallus is going to basically set up Lieutenant List here, and he's going to use Lieutenant List's cylinder to gain access to things and to make things happen, right? Because at the time that all this is happening, Kanan and Rex are en route to aid in the extraction of Kallus. So they have a stolen Imperial shuttle, they have Stormtrooper armor on, and they're rocketing in there. But now that Thrawn is there, the clearance codes that they have don't work. They only had clearance codes for the light cruiser. They don't have them for Thrawn's ship. So Chopper and AP5, who were on the stolen shuttle, that Ezra stole, quote unquote, are there, and they're there as witnesses, right? They recorded the whole theft of the shuttle, so like they're there to present their testimony to any one of the Empire people who is listening, so that they can. But again, like that's just part of it, right? But AP5 and Chopper are there. Chopper's trying to get these codes, so that that Kanan and Rex can get on the ship. And it's not that easy. You can't just, as Chopper's going to find out, you can't just get that from any data port on a Star Destroyer. You have to go to an officer's chamber, right? So the plan is concocted. Once they have released Ezra from the brig using Lieutenant List's cylinder, which implicates him for releasing Ezra, that they're going to go into Thrawn's office and change the star maps that he has, like the list of planets that he's narrowed it down to. They want to remove Adelon from there, and they want to plant a false one. They also want to get those access codes, those clearance codes, so that their ship can land and they can get the heck out of there. Now, before, when Kallus and List were first summoned to Thrawn's office, and we see Yularen's there, and it's all sort of laid out that there's a spy, and we have to smoke him out. There's a great sequence of Thrawn training against what's referred to as assassin droids, but are basically like prototype Dark Troopers, right? So, neat to see him engaged with hand-to-hand combat with these big droids, and they're going to play a role later in the episode. So, again, we have a lot of things happening, and Thrawn is paying very close attention to everything, because he knows that he cannot trust. He doesn't know who he can trust. So he is being very observant. He's using his hypervigilance, right? He's being very aware of things. And Yularen, who admits that Kallus was his prize student at one point at the Imperial Academy. Well, let's just put it out there, right? So we're gonna break into Thrawn's chambers. We're break into Thrawn's office. We're gonna change that map, that star map. Remove Adelon. We're gonna get those clearance codes. Meanwhile, Kallus has sort of pointed the finger at Governor Price, who's also aboard the ship, and he's sort of goaded List into believing that she is the one that Thrawn believes to be the rebel spy. So List, in his eagerness to prove his worthiness to Thrawn, is going to follow her and keep an eye on her because he wants to be the one to capture her. Again, he brings Ezra, who he doesn't know is Ezra, to Thrawn to get credit. He wants credit. Remember, Lieutenant List is the guy from the Leia episode, right? So he got quite the tongue lashing after that situation. So now he's eager to please, and it causes him to make some really rash decisions. But it's a really strong episode. I do recommend this one to you guys. Basically, we end up, everything kind of falls into place the way it should, right? They get those codes, they transmit it from Thrawn's office. They're using List's cylinder to implicate him. There's a great sequence where Kallus reprograms those assassin droids, the Dark Trooper prototypes, basically, into attacking Thrawn so that Ezra and Chopper can get out of his office after they've done the things they needed to do. That's a fun sequence over there. Thrawn engaging his override code of Rook does not work, and so he has to blast these droids. It's a really great sequence, really fun stuff. Ezra, Chopper sneaking out, getting back with Kallus. Then they go down to the ship. Yularen's on the lookout. He's watching out. Price is down there, confronts the stormtrooper. She knows right away that Kanan and Rex are not who they are pretending to be. And of course, List is seeing all this and believes that she is attacking Imperial soldiers, and that this confirms that she is the traitor. So when he shoots her in the back with the stun and knocks her out, and then our heroes are able to make their getaway, he's just as surprised as anybody. But that's, of course, when Kallus shows up, takes List into custody, and points the finger squarely at Lieutenant List. And then they take off, but Kallus stays behind. He's not ready for extraction. He believes he's solved the problem. He thinks he can do more good there in as a mole in the Empire than he would out with the rebels. He believes he's safe. He believes he's saved himself. He's protected his identity as Fulcrum by giving them another Fulcrum, by again squarely pointing the finger at List. And now there's a trail, right? There's breadcrumbs. List uses his cylinder to access all these things, to release Ezra, to gain access to the clearance codes, to gain access to Thrawn's office. All these things happen with List's cylinder. And you learn very clearly after the rebels are gone, and Kallus is back, quote unquote, embedded with the enemy. Yularen points it out that this is all too neat and tidy. I don't like how this has wrapped up so easily. And Thrawn very, very aptly susses it all out, because he's like, you're 100% right, and that's because it's Kallus who is the spy. Look at everything that's going on right now. Look at everything that's happened, and Yularen can't believe it. And that's why it's Kallus, because you guys can't believe that it is. Thrawn uses that intuition what's a good way to put it? The way he sort of analyzes, that analytical mind of his to process information and to suss it all out. And he lands on the fact that it's Kallus. And he now has plans to use Kallus and / Fulcrum for his own purposes. And as the episode ends, Thrawn says something along the lines of, I'm going to make Fulcrum more important than Agent Kallus ever was. And so now Thrawn has gained the upper hand. He now knows that Kallus is Fulcrum, and he now knows that he has a way to feed false information to the Rebel Alliance. So big things are coming up for our heroes as season 3 rockets to its crazy conclusion. A lot of big episodes still coming up for the year. Oh my gosh. For the rest of the season, a lot of big episodes coming up. One in particular, we've already talked about it a little bit. We talked about it back during Andor Season 2. Yes, it's time for that episode, the extraction of Mon Mothma from Coruscant. And while we don't get to see that on Rebels. Hey, we got to see it on Andor, and it was awesome. So yeah, we're gonna pick up those pieces. We're gonna tie things back together to Andor too a little bit, and then of course after that, Twin Suns. I mean, come on, guys. We have some amazing Star Wars episodes coming up in this season. Some of the best Star Wars episodes coming up in this season, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about all of them. They are so good. Actually, I take it back. Twin Suns is actually 2 episodes away from now, but that's okay. It's still right around the corner. It's so close. It'll be a nice little Christmas present for us all to talk about. It'll be great. All right, Bucketheads, I think that's everything we have to say about this episode. It's really, really good. It's 8.5 buckets, easy peasy. Check this one out. Don't sleep on it. A really great, great episode. Like I said, espionage, spycraft, counter and espionage, and all the good things, right? It's a really good episode of the show, guys. Check this one out. And then while you're doing that, after you finish checking it out, follow us on the socials, Mando_Vision on X and Insta, Mandovision at Blue Sky, and you can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If you're able to rate the show, please, sweet 5-star reviews. They help us so much. All right, Bucketheads, go out there, be great Star Wars fans, kind, supportive, respectful, understanding, tolerant. And we'll be back next week for another exciting installment of our Star Wars Rebels rewatch series. In the meantime, remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
Purple guy, Mando girl, and Ezra Bridger. My, look how you have grown.